In a cozy little town where everyone knew each other, there lived a gifted carpenter named Amelia. With every stroke of her chisel, she crafted not just furniture, but pieces of art, embedding her talent and will into each creation. However, as the giant chains of megastores encroached upon her town, Amelia's charming shop found it harder to get new sales. The warmth of personal touch, the excellence of craftsmanship, and the spirit of community began to wane, overshadowed by the relentless gears of mass production and the insatiable thirst for profits. Sadly, Amelia's tale isn't unique. It echoes across bustling cities and sleepy hamlets worldwide, painting a broader picture of the capitalist saga we find ourselves in. And yet, when someone brings up leaving capitalism behind, people pause. It's like we can't envision a life beyond capitalism. Is it merely the fear of stepping into the unknown, or is there a larger narrative at play? Together, let's unravel the apprehension towards leaving capitalism behind and explore alternative economic paradigms. The way we trade and do business has come a long way. From simple bartering in ancient times to full-blown capitalism, our economic system has changed a lot. Thinkers like Adam Smith really set the stage for what we see today. His book, The Wealth of Nations, gives us the basics of how free markets work, basically letting businesses compete without too much interference. These ideas became the foundation of our modern economic system, a system all about supply and demand, and people believe that capitalism alone drives innovation and shapes our world. At its core, capitalism offers a kind of roadmap. It tells us that if we work hard and play by the rules, we can climb the ladder. The system sets expectations, giving us a sense of control over our financial future. Whether you're an entrepreneur with big dreams or someone working their way up in a company, the belief is that you can carve your own path to success. Experts have been talking about our love affair with capitalism for a long time. For example, economist Milton Friedman was a big fan. He often said that capitalism is great for encouraging freedom and new ideas. Meanwhile, sociologist Max Weber looked at the deeper cultural reasons why capitalism took off, like how it ties into our values and beliefs. But there's a growing conversation about the downsides of our current capitalist system as well. People are starting to question if it's the only way to go and what other options might exist. Change can be scary, especially when it comes to money and jobs. We're used to how capitalism works. It's like a familiar song we've all heard before. But the idea of shifting to a different economic system, that's like trying to dance to a rhythm you don't recognize. People worry about what it could mean for their jobs or their savings. And then there's the fear of losing what you've worked hard to build. For those who've saved money or maybe even built up some wealth, the idea of moving to an economic model that might spread that wealth around can be unsettling. We want choice, and there is fear that other economic systems would remove choice, leaving our success in the hands of others. Terms like socialism or communism often trigger reflexive fears. Envision a world map, shaded by each nation's beliefs. The 20th century marked a division with the Cold War, separating the capitalist West from the communist East, fostering a wariness towards socialism and communism, often viewed through a lens of rivalry and an ideological clash. As the discourse evolves, alternative economic models emerge from the crucible of ideas, each with a distinct vision of reshaping the capitalistic economic landscape. Among these, the circular economy, Doughnut Economics, and Participatory Economics stand as notable vanguards of what I consider transitory change, the first steps towards a potential post-capitalist society. The circular economy is like the recycling symbol you see on plastic bottles, but applied to the entire economy. Instead of the take, make, waste model we're used to, where we dig up resources, make it something, use it, and then toss it, the circular economy aims for a loop. Just like in nature, where a fallen leaf decomposes to nourish a new tree, this economic model aims to make products that can be reused, repaired, or recycled. Imagine you buy a phone and instead of tossing it when it's outdated, you would send it back to the manufacturer for an upgrade. Your old parts would be recycled into new phones, a requirement for the company's continued success. Tax policies might shift from labor to natural resource use, encouraging businesses to reuse and recycle. Grants and incentives might be designed to help companies transition to a more circular model. According to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, embracing a circular economy could result in benefits of €1.8 trillion by 2030, just in Europe alone. The Club of Rome predicts this could lead to a massive reduction in carbon emissions, potentially as high as 50% by 2030. Next, imagine a donut. But this donut isn't just a treat, it's a way to think about creating a better world. In the middle of the donut, you've got things everyone should have to live a decent life, like access to education, healthcare, and having a living wage. At the outer edge of the donut is the line we shouldn't cross if we want to keep the planet healthy. Think climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. In between the two, in the dough of the donut, is where humanity should aim to be. A place that's socially fair and environmentally safe. In a donut economy, you would see a stronger focus on community services and social programs. That could mean better public schools, more accessible healthcare, and maybe even a universal basic income. On the flip side, there could be more regulations to keep businesses from harming the environment, which could affect prices or availability of certain goods. Governments would likely shift their focus from GDP growth to a more holistic set of indicators, like well-being and environmental sustainability. Taxes might be levied on pollution and resource extraction rather than just income and sales. Social programs could get a funding boost to ensure everyone meets the minimum standard for a good life. Next, imagine a workplace where every employee, from CEO to the janitor, has a say in how things are run. That's the spirit of participatory economics. Instead of a top-down structure where a few make decisions for the many, this model aims to involve everyone in the decision-making process. The goal? Economic efficiency and social justice coexisting in a balanced harmony. Your daily life might look quite different. In the workplace, you'd be part of councils or committees that make decisions affecting your job and your department. Outside of work, you might be involved in neighborhood or community councils that decide on local economic matters. The barrier between decision makers and those who follow decisions would blur, empowering you to have a more active role in shaping your economic environment. Government spending decisions might be determined through more direct forms of democracy, like participatory budgeting. Policies would focus not just on efficiency or growth, but also on equitable distribution of resources. Taxes could be designed to be more progressive, reducing income and wealth inequality. While the transition would require a significant societal shift and could slow down decision-making processes, the end result could be an economy that better serves the needs and wants of its participants. That includes you. What makes these models shine with a hue of hope is their holistic approach. They don't just chase the phantom of endless growth, but aim to balance the scales of economic prosperity, social equity, and environmental sustainability. It's a shift from a singular focus on GDP to a broader canvas of well-being. They challenge us to redefine wealth, to see beyond mere numbers, and envision an economy that serves not just the few, but the many, not just for today, but for generations to come. Are there any countries out there already doing this? Well, in the heart of Europe, the Netherlands has been pioneering the circular economy. Their goal? Cut their raw material use in half by 2030 and make their economy fully circular by 2050. The focus is on sustainability and reusing materials, with Amsterdam spearheading this effort. They're diving into everything from eco-friendly food systems to designing cities with sustainability in mind. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, they're doing something unique. They've introduced a well-being budget. Instead of just looking at traditional economic numbers, they're taking into account people's health, education, and overall happiness. It's a fresh take on what the government should aim for, setting up a blueprint for a future where money isn't the only thing that matters. Down in Porto Alegre, Brazil, they've got an interesting project that lets citizens have a say in how the city's budget is spent. It's called participatory budgeting, and it brings democracy right into economic planning. But it's not all smooth sailing. They've had to tackle issues like how to scale this model and keep it running long term. So what can we learn from these examples? Each offers a glimpse into different ways of organizing economies and improving life for everyone. They show us what's possible, but also remind us that change isn't easy and comes with its own set of challenges. In the world of capitalism, there's a stage we often talk about where big corporations take over, kind of like a massive tree blocking out the sun for all the smaller plants. At this point, the idea of competition, which was the backbone of capitalism, starts to falter due to near monopolies. This is often referred to as late-stage capitalism. You might not realize this, but many people believe that we've already hit this stage, where corporations have become so powerful that they exert significant influence over government, media, and everyday life. Some well-known side effects of late-stage capitalism include stagnant wages, higher costs of living, job insecurity, decreased societal mobility, and a push for constant consumerism and debt. Sound familiar? Economists like Thomas Piketty have explored the consequences of income inequality in late-stage capitalism in works like Capital in the 21st Century. According to a 2020 report by the Economic Policy Institute, CEO compensation surged 11% in 2020 alone, while the average worker's compensation rose just 18% over the last 4.5 decades. Switching gears, you sci-fi fans out there will appreciate this. Some of the best post-capitalism societies we can think of actually come from fiction. In the world of Star Trek, the Federation operates in a manner where money is obsolete. People work for the betterment of humanity, not just for a paycheck. And then there's The Culture by Ian M. Banks, a society where people don't have to work unless they want to, and there's an emphasis on personal development and societal well-being. But guess what? Thought leaders are already legitimately exploring these concepts. Economist Paul Mason dives into this topic in his book, Post-Capitalism: A Guide to Our Future, suggesting that we're already on the path towards a more collaborative and equitable economic system. But you might be wondering, how would some form of a post-capitalism society actually affect me? Well, let's break that down. Think of your community like a communal garden, where fruits and vegetables are available for everyone. In the same way, wealth would be distributed more equitably, benefiting the entire community. Why should only a few prosper, especially when technology is reducing the need for manual physical and mental labor? Machine learning and autonomous robots are coming for most people's jobs, though maybe slower than some people predicted. The change will be iterative, like the slow boiling frog analogy, where we might not notice until it's too late. Or imagine going to work every day doing what you love, because your basic needs are already met, so you don't need to be afraid you'll not have a place to live or food in your stomach. Shouldn't all humans have a reasonable place to live and food to eat? If we have the means to make that happen, what does it say about us as a culture if we don't fight for that? How would your life be better spending more time doing what you love? And the best end goal for all of this effort would be that sustainability becomes part of our daily lives, leading to cleaner cities and longer, healthier lives, instead of the declining life expectancy numbers we're seeing in countries including the US. With all that we've created, all that we've learned, shouldn't we be seeing longer lifespans for the next generation? How would you feel knowing that from now on, every generation would live shorter than your own? We often fear the unknown, and so it feels easier, safer to stick with what we do know, or leave the decisions in the hands of others. But in the end, these transitions won't happen by accident. They'll only happen if enough people discuss them and a few act on trying to make them happen. If we fear that changing our economic system will take away choice, then we're leaving our choices in the hands of the wealthy. If you want to know more about the difficulties of changing the direction our world is heading in, check out my video on systems thinking and how it won't be one choice that fixes everything.